Well, crypto is becoming a huge issue that could move the needle in electing the next president. Over the next half hour, we're looking at how and why. We're going to hear from industry experts and politicians from all sides on their proposals. Welcome, everyone. I'm Kelly O'Grady. I want to start you off with a really interesting stat. 1 in 5 Americans now own crypto, and 73% of that group says they'll consider a candidate's stance on the industry when voting for president. And then look at this. The Stand with Crypto PAC says it's seen roughly triple the number of signups in the swing states of Arizona and Georgia than the difference in votes in 2020. This is huge. This is why this matters. Now, the price of Bitcoin has soared over the past 10 years. It's up more than 19,000%. It's up almost 500% in the past 5 years as the cryptocurrency has become more mainstream. And more than 600 financial institutions have poured at least $3.5 billion into Bitcoin ETFs. So this is the backdrop as Donald Trump becomes the first U.S. presidential nominee from a major party to make Bitcoin a campaign issue.
The reason I've come to address the Bitcoin community today can be summed up in 2 very simple words: America first. Because if we don't do it, China's going to be doing, others are going to be doing it. Let's do it and do it right.
The president appealing to this growing and vocal group with plans to boost the crypto industry, including rolling back regulation, creating a Bitcoin strategic reserve, and firing SEC Chairman Gary Gensler, who, by the way, his actions have been widely seen as hostile to digital assets. Now, the Trump campaign says it's raised at least $4 million in cryptocurrency and reportedly brought in $25 million in donations when he attended the largest Bitcoin conference in the world. Now, I was on the ground in Nashville during the convention and heard the case for why crypto could be a major election issue now.
Between 20 and 50 million Americans own cryptocurrency. People tend to vote their wallets.
People are starting to understand that the money is broken, and that's what Bitcoin represents, to protect yourself from inflation.
Inflation, a top issue for Americans. How Bitcoin is considered a hedge against inflation because unlike printing more dollars, there will be a finite amount. It's simple economics. Fixed supply means Bitcoin's value will continue to rise as long as demand does.
Bitcoin just makes sense. Across the backdrop macro-wise, everybody's looking at debt levels in the United States that are just off the charts. Nobody knows how to fix it.
A lot of people are thinking that as it gets adopted by more places around the world, that they want to be part of that. It's the next digital gold. Why did we have the gold rush back in the 1850s? And this is one of the reasons the United States should lead.
It has the capacity to perfect our democracy, to make government much more transparent. It's a national defense technology. It's a cyber warfare defense system. Bitcoin makes government incorruptible because it can't just go print money.
The allure of Bitcoin is that transparency. It's decentralized. Now, the U.S. dollar is backed by the government, while Bitcoin is backed by a widely distributed network. Believers love it because no one entity can control the currency. But critics accuse the Biden-Harris administration of trying to do just that. Many feel the last 4 years have been an all-out war on crypto.
If you think about it, this industry is going to be on the ballot in November because you've got the current administration, the Biden-Harris administration, that has done everything they can to stamp this industry out.
We have seen so many of the Bitcoin and the crypto companies that have had the SEC block their plans. And because of that, people are saying, hey, wait a minute. We're the nation that values saying, I've got an idea. I want to commercialize that idea.
I know some people in the crypto world who were so fed up with sort of the intransigence or the partisan nature of this that they changed their party just because they wanted to vote for the party that was going to enable this movement to accelerate here in the United States.
That frustration is what presidential candidates are hoping to tap in their campaigns. Speaking to the largest Bitcoin conference was a direct appeal to a community with many single-issue voters. Not only the promise to promote policies that support growth, but also show this marginalized group that their voices matter.
We're excited to hear that validation from the outside world and that, the politicians are accepting this on a big scale, and it's just so exciting. And so it's kind of like the outside seal of approval.
Well, crypto fans clearly feeling seen and heard by Washington, but will more on Main Street start to show interest? Joining me now, John Wu, president of Ava Labs, and Lou Bassanese, MDB Capital Holdings president and chief market strategist. All right, gentlemen, thanks for joining me. It's good to have you on set. Lou, I just want to start you off. What's your reaction to what you just heard, all that excitement?
Look, I think it's a big indication that crypto's gone from the fringe to the front line. It's a voting issue in this presidential election. Otherwise, the candidates wouldn't be pandering for votes. They've never really had a constructive, bullish stance on crypto. Now you're hearing it. Why? Because there's votes at stake. And it's a classic technological adoption. We've gotten to the point where there's about 20% market share of crypto. Depending on whose data you look at, the Fed says 7%. Other data is a little bit more aggressive, is close to 20%. This is the make or break point for whether adoption happens at the full scale and across America.
Yeah, so let me bring you in on that, John. I mean, why now? Why is it mainstream? Because we go back a few years ago, right? It was close to 70,000. Then you had the crypto winter. Now we're back. Why now is it becoming more palatable for folks that weren't necessarily comfortable with the space before?
It's because the upper echelon of the politicians actually now recognize that the crypto community is a force. I mean, the PACs that they've led to, like the one of them is over $200 million. That's more than the Make America Great PAC, and it's growing really fast. You mentioned earlier the voters. There's like 53 million Americans that actually own the asset. A lot of those are actually young male voters, and they're single issue voters. And by the way, you were in Nashville. You saw the excitement. It's a very passionate, engaged crowd.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Oh, my gosh. Seriously. Yeah. It felt like, I don't know, I was at a festival. But, Lou, I mean, obviously this could become a huge issue. But former President Trump, a couple years ago, he says this is a scam. It feels like it's a bit of a 180. What's your take there?
Look, everyone's entitled to change their mind. He's changing his mind, and it serves a purpose. And I think all politicians are doing it. And to John's point, like, you're seeing critical adoption. It's a voting bloc that has money behind it, that can have influence and power. It's to be determined whether that's rightfully so or not. We just don't know where this is going, but it's at a point now you can't ignore it. Even everyone in the investment world, you have to pay attention to it. Just like you could be a fundamental analyst for so long, but you started having to pay attention to technicals. Same thing. Now, crypto is a real asset class that needs to be respected, paid attention to. Where it goes depends on the innovations and the applications from here on out.
And John, I mean, you were also in Nashville. What did you make of President Trump? I mean, the 180, do you believe he's pro-crypto now?
You have to take what he says at face value. And by the way, I was a traditional finance person, investing on the buy side. You cover a lot of traditional finance people. These are very smart, intelligent people. Just 2 years ago, I could name you 10 people instantly that thought Bitcoin was the equivalent of owning a pet rock. And yet,
I still kind of think that sometimes. But
they've all changed their minds.
It's true.
Yeah.
And
Fair
over
enough.
time now, they've made Bitcoin part of their portfolio, and they now believe in it because they've seen what is going on in terms of they realize this is a store of value.
Yeah. Okay. Lou, John, stay right there. We're going to come back to you. All right. You heard the why now for Bitcoin. We'll get you the how. Up next, the proposals on the campaign trail and their impact.
I'm laying out my plan to ensure that the United States will be the crypto capital of the planet and the Bitcoin superpower of the world, and we'll get it done.
Welcome back. Former President Trump becoming the first U.S. presidential nominee to make crypto a major campaign issue. He made headlines at the recent 2024 Bitcoin conference in Nashville, where he outlined his strategies to boost the industry.
If crypto is going to define the future, I want to be mined, minted, and made in the USA. Bitcoin is going to the moon, as we say. It's going to the moon. I want America to be the nation that leads the way. The day I take the oath of office, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's anti-crypto crusade will be over. The moment I'm sworn in, the persecution stops and the weaponization ends against your industry. On day one, I will fire Gary Gensler and appoint a new SEC chairman. I didn't know he was that unpopular.
You would have thought firing Gary Gensler would have been the biggest applause line of the day, but it just shows you how this administration has been filled out with people that feel like they're the government and they're going to tell you what to do, not they're going to get government out of your way.
All of the actions of the Biden administration and the Gensler-controlled SEC have moved in the wrong direction. So President Trump is looking at how to make us more competitive broadly.
Gary Gensler has been among the industry's most determined foes, claiming most cryptos are unregistered securities and blasting the space as rife with fraud. Firing the SEC chair on day one seemed to resonate most with the crowd, but that wasn't the only proposal Trump shared.
I will immediately appoint a Bitcoin and Crypto Presidential Advisory Council. We will have regulations, but from now on, the rules will be written by people who love your industry, not hate your industry. Those who say that Bitcoin is a threat to the dollar have the story exactly backwards. I believe it is exactly backwards. Bitcoin is not threatening the dollar. The behavior of the current U.S. government is really threatening the dollar. If I am elected, it will be the policy of my administration, United States of America, to keep 100% of all the Bitcoin the U.S. government currently holds or acquires into the future. We'll keep 100%. I hope you do well, please. This will serve in effect as the core of the strategic national Bitcoin stockpile.
A strategic reserve in Bitcoin, I think, is pretty incredible. I'm pro that. You see inflation, you see our debt rising. I think offsetting that with Bitcoin reserve could be super strategic.
I do believe this is in the best interest of the United States, that we add the best performing asset in the history of the world to the balance sheet. We back the dollar with Bitcoin and we strengthen the value of the dollar by doing so.
Trump wasn't the only one to propose a Bitcoin strategic reserve. RFK Jr. also pitched a plan to buy over $250 billion in Bitcoin to hold alongside gold and other foreign currencies. The crypto advocate also pushed to put the entire U.S. budget on a public digital ledger.
I want to make our budget transparent. Pentagon had lost $4.2 trillion. So, and the way that they lost it is they bought something and then they forgot where they put it. We can use blockchain to put all of those, those expenditures up so that every American can look at them 24 hours a day and then comment on them and actually participate in democracy.
I absolutely love the idea. More transparency on how funds are spent would be absolutely welcome. You could not believe how hard it is for us to get the Biden-Harris administration to reveal anything about what they're doing with our money. For example, we found out that they're using taxpayer funds to support flying 320,000 illegals into our nation just last year. I think the American public needs to see what's happening, and that could bring about very significant change.
Notably absent, President Biden or anyone from the White House. Vice President Kamala Harris was invited to speak but declined, though her campaign is reportedly looking to reset relations with the industry, something pro-crypto Democrats are hopeful will change the narrative. 14 left-wing lawmakers have even sent a letter asking Harris to focus more on digital assets, and they echoed Trump's calls to fire Gary Gensler.
I would like her first to say that Bitcoin is something that's good. It's about freedom. It's consistent with her campaign. I think you have a new generation of people in Democrats whose rhetoric matches our record and are pushing the party in a direction to embrace this innovation.
Okay, well, you heard it. A big push from Washington for crypto. Is now the time to buy into the Bitcoin craze? Lou and John are back with their thoughts on where it goes from here. That's next. The crypto community abuzz with excitement following those huge promises from the candidates. Let's bring back in Lou and John to react. Okay, so Lou, I want to start you on this. He wants to add Bitcoin to the strategic reserve. What do you think? Good or bad idea?
Empty promise, terrible idea. I think it goes completely counter to the crypto movement to be free from government, free from intervention. I think the only thing that made sense is really the transparency. I think really you got to separate this two, and this is how I look at this. There's the cryptocurrencies, and then there's the technologies underpinning them. The first, not interesting to me. The second, very interesting because it has the potential to disrupt a lot of industries. But for me, John called it a pet rock. I think Bitcoin in its essence is a limited supply of nothing that is supposed to have something of value, and that's the greater fool theory at work. And if there's a lot of fools out there buying it, then the price will be stable. I just don't see how it stabilizes unless it's government intervention. That's an artificial manipulation of the market. A strategic reserve, in my opinion, terrible idea.
Okay,
Lou,
fighting words.
right.
Yes, come in.
Lou, you're right that the ethos of the whole asset class was to have separation between government and the asset class. But the reality is that hasn't happened. So
do we give up what we believe?
So
to
what's
get
different
adoption?
now is that the crypto community has actually grown up. And they know now it's no longer that early adopter. They've gone up the adoption curve. 53 million people own it. And adoption is not just owning, it's actually use cases. Look at what DMV of California did. They put 40 million plus car titles on the Avalanche blockchain.
Yeah,
and that is going to improve.
It's a great application, but that's not the currency. My thing still is like, I just signed up and bought more Bitcoin. This is 5 years since I did it last. The on-ramp has still got too much friction for the everyday consumer to be a currency, in my opinion.
You're right in the sense that the killer app so far for crypto is basically transferring value.
Okay.
And the on and off ramp has been the bottleneck because it's heavily regulated.
Okay.
So going forward, hopefully we have more clarity.
I love the back and forth. I want to push you, John, because when I was at the conference, this idea of a Bitcoin strategic reserve, you're going to get the government to buy Bitcoin or, take what it already has, hold it alongside gold and other foreign currencies. Other countries are going to follow suit. A lot of folks were saying, okay, we like the decentralized nature. We like the fact that one country or a consortium of countries don't control a lot of it. What's your perspective on that?
That's absolutely correct. I think Trump actually said something that was interesting that it hasn't been really publicized, which is this is a miracle of human cooperation. And that's actually a great statement. The community of crypto has coordinated together very intelligently, made their voice heard, but also even the underlying technology at the core is a consensus protocol. And you have to achieve consensus. In the end, I think no American wants to be told what to do, and they want to be heard. So, and the best thing about this asset class, it's a participation game.
Yeah. Well, and so the point about they don't want to be told what to do, right? I was there, and you hear people saying, I don't like what SEC Chair Gary Gensler's done. I mean, we heard it in the package. Everyone cheered when Trump said, I'm going to fire him. Yeah. But that light touch regulation, if we get something like that, we get something where the U.S. government is saying, okay, crypto, Bitcoin, we're good with this. We want to go forward. Where do you think the price of these cryptocurrencies goes?
Well, I think the price naturally goes up because there's going to be more attention paid to it, more people coming into the market. I'm going to, even as the skeptic, I'm going to be an advocate for less regulation. I think that you need to get out of the way of innovation and really see what it can do to see what the use cases are. To your point, that we're seeing that the DMV, there's other blockchain-based technologies that could disrupt the financial markets in terms of clearing of trading securities. You look at the audit and accounting functions. All could be handled very simply and cooperatively with the blockchain, but regulators got to get out of the way, which, ironically, I'm regulated by the SEC. We work for an investment bank. I have all the FINRA licenses, so I probably shouldn't say this, but absolutely fire Gary Gensler. He's standing in the way of progress, and no regulatory body should do that.
Yeah.
Regulation always lags innovation, but I'm an advocate for innovation. So let's see where we can go with blockchain, and then figure out how big it could get. Either it makes it across the chasm of adoption, or it doesn't, like other technologies.
Real quick, John, before I let you go, you're an investor turned believer, player in the space in blockchain. How do you take advantage of this for our viewers at home?
Well, the asset class is very volatile.
Yeah.
So just like investing in NVIDIA stock, take advantage of volatility if you believe in it, collect it when it's down, and it's actually very transparent. Recently it's been down because people can see that addresses from the United States government have moved Bitcoin from one address to another. That's usually a harbinger for them selling. It's ironic because you talked about a reserve, building a fund for Bitcoin, and yet right now they're still selling.
Okay. All right. Thank you both. Appreciate your time. Lou, John, we're going to have to leave it there.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll be right back with more.
I think the price of Bitcoin and all the other digital assets are going to continue to climb, and I think that there would probably be a very massive pump if Trump is reelected into the White House.
Individuals having the option of putting their 401k into an ETF or a vehicle that allows them to self-custody and have that transactional freedom I think that all of this is going to encourage growth.
I think it's going to make payments faster and cheaper and get rid of the middlemen who charge all those fees.
I want Bitcoin to last forever. I feel like it's something that will be around for a long time, and it's something new.
America will be richer, the world will be better, and there will be billions and billions of people brought into crypto economy and storing their savings in Bitcoin.
The crypto campaign is in full swing as candidates promise this pro-Bitcoin future. But what's hype and what's real? We're going to need to wait until November to see the full impact on the election. But I've been following the space for a long time, and the one thing that's clear to me is policymakers are paying attention. And what was once a meme-based cult following is quickly growing in credibility and power, with even major players from Wall Street and Washington, D.C. now supporting the space. And you know, we're keeping a close eye on it for you and Fox Business. That does it for us. I'm Kelly O'Grady.